Welcome everyone, this is full lesson in 10 PE where we give you everything you need to teach outstanding PE lessons. Today we're looking at long jump. This is Sam, roll the titles. As ever, we're going to give you a full range of objectives and you can pluck 3 from them. They're going to go quite quick, so pause the video if you need to. So for a younger group where the emphasis is on fun and participation, I suggest you do an adapted stuck in the mud warm-up. So create an area of an appropriate size, select 3 taggers, and then if somebody gets caught, they are stuck in the mud, they sit down on the ground with their legs straight out in front of them. To free somebody that is stuck, then one of the classmates has to jump over that person's legs. Now when they do that, the person is released, they can stand up, they perform 2 air squats, and then they can go back to evading the taggers. If you see a student landing on 1 foot, then the student that's being released must stay stuck. Now once you've done 1 round of that, do a 2nd round, pick some new taggers, and then you can go from 2 feet to 2 feet jumps, which are going to be used mostly through the first half of the lesson, and then you can go from 1 foot to 2 foot jumps, which you're going to be using more in the second half of the lesson. At this point in the lesson, use your questioning to extract why you should land with 2 feet on the long jump. You could also show them a video of a world record long jump.
We sail over that 8-meter mark. What can he do in this second round? Here he comes again. Bang! Oh!
The next activity in the lesson is going to get the students appreciating just how far that world record is. So here's how it's going to look. So here's a very basic setup. We've got the blue cones showing the long jump world record, and we're going to challenge students to see how many standing long jumps it takes for them to achieve the same distance. So we've got students working in pairs behind the yellow cone, and then underneath that yellow cone there's 2 other cones because we're going to need them to record personal bests later. Now at this point I'm not going to give too much technical advice on a standing long jump. Just want to give the basic rules of a 2 foot to 2 foot jump, and then students are going to see how many it takes for them to achieve that distance. Now once everybody's had a go, then I would give students a bit more technical feedback and cover the following technique points. So as you can see in this video, before takeoff we want to swing the arms back and bend the hips and knees as we do it. Then as we take off, we swing the arms forward and then the body straightens. So we extend at the hip, the knee and the ankles, and then take off into the jump. On landing, we want to cushion that landing. So we're going to bend the knees and then both feet land simultaneously. Now, after receiving this technical feedback, hopefully the students will be able to beat their previous score, and then instantly you're starting to show some progression. Now, you may or may not have a sandpit in your school. If you don't, then just be wary about too many jumps on a hard surface, because that can be a little bit harsh on the joints. If you do have a sandpit, then the negative of using this for a whole lesson is long cues. So what we'll try to do is get the right balance between the 2. The last activity we've got planned for mass participation, jumping on the firmer surface, is an activity that's going to differentiate our class into 3 ability groupings, moving into the sandpit section of the lesson. For those of you familiar with my videos, then you'll probably have seen something like this before. So this is how it looks. Now, continuing in the same setup, I now want students to see how far they can get in 5 standing long jumps. I'm going to use this activity to differentiate the class for the sandpit section of the lesson. So students are going to have If there's time, 2 attempts, and they're going to jump 5 standing long jumps. Once they've hit their 5 jumps, they're going to mark where they reached with their cone. And then once all students have had a go, it'll look a little bit like this. Now, the reason I want them to do 5 jumps rather than just a single jump is that those cones are all going to be way too similar off one jump, and it's going to be hard to differentiate. But this way, I can pick the 10 cones that are furthest, and then this is going to be my high ability grouping. The next 10 will form the second group, and then the next 10 cones the third group. So I have 3 groups going in to the sandpit section of the lesson. The final activity before students go on to record a personal best in a full long jump is one that gets them used to landing in the sand with 2 feet and keeping their weight forwards so they don't step back or fall back, thereby negatively affecting their distance. So at this point in the lesson, we can also get the students to start getting used to taking off on their stronger foot. So this is what that will look like. So here we have an activity I like to call Cross the Desert. We've got our 3 groups, and they've got different difficulty levels depending on their ability. So the task is for the student to jump, and we're going to move to a 1-footed jump now as we get closer to performing a full long jump. And the student has to land in the plastic hoop in the sand pit without touching the hoop or stepping outside of the hoop. If they do this successfully, then they can cross the desert and then get to the other side and support the rest of their team to do the same. So we can clearly see the bigger distance between the takeoff cone and the hoop, and also the higher ability group have been given a smaller hoop as well to make it that little bit more difficult. So students attempt the task, and if they're successful, move across. If not, get to the back of the line, and you can progress this by adding a clap above the head, which will then get students performing that swing of the arms upwards, which is going to help them get height when they move on to the full long jump. Now, I hate cues in PE lessons as much as the next guy, but I'd hate a long jump lesson where students didn't get to perform a full long jump even more. So I've seen a few suggestions on how to keep activity levels high during a long jump lesson. This is my preferred approach. There's still some cues, but it does allow the teacher to have a good overall vision of what's going on. They can still easily record scores for students, and students also are involved in the officiating of the long jump. So this is how it looks. So here we have our 3 groups again. We've got 1 group that are going to measure the jumps and feed that back to the teacher. We've got 1 group looking at the takeoff and officiating, and 1 group that are jumping and setting their personal best. So the students will jump, then we get a thumbs up hopefully from our officials, and then a distance from our measurers. Now make sure after each jump to rake the sand pit. Your groups are differentiated, so you could offer 3 different awards for the longest jump in each group. Or you could stick to a personal best focus for those PE groups that maybe aren't as in favour of social comparison and competition. Students will need to measure their run-up to ensure they get a legal jump. So here's a quick video reminder from our triple jump video lesson plan on how to do that. So from a position of both heels against the takeoff board, get the student to sprint with their strongest foot taking the first step. I've measured out 7 steps here, so make sure you use an odd number. Right, hopefully that's helpful. If it was helpful in any way, please support the channel, hit like, and I'll see you in the next one.